outstanding. Okay. I've increased the bandwidth a bit, so you might be a little bit better. I'm not too sure. Yeah, the MB1 is all singing, all dancing, and everything inbuilt computer, SDR transceiver, and all the different various settings. You can try it out and do this, that, and the other. It's taken me ages to get it sorted on AM. I mainly use it for digital work. JT9, JT65, FT8s, EasyPal, the SS digital SSTV, and analog one, the just trying to think, I've got them all up here now. Oh boy, the MMSSTV, that's the one, Digipan, HAM scope, MITI, you name it. I've been playing with that, because you can, with the virtual COM ports, you can get it all up and running and play different modes. And the conditions here has been pretty poor, so I've been playing with digital stuff. Now on 10 watts you'll reach it. I've had QSOs on about 3,000 or 4,000 miles away on 10 watts. It's crazy, but yeah, well, good once you get used to it and once you've got it set up and whatever. Possibly I've still got to play about with the settings in the transmit equalizer. I've got it mainly set up for sideband, so that's most of why it's a little bit restricted. Never mind, still going through the learning curve of 100 watts, does everything, AM, FM, sideband, 2 meters it's got on it. It's got also inbuilt 7-inch screen, but I don't use that. I've got an external 27-inch monitor, and you can see what's going on. So you can see the entire band, like the SDR receivers of today. You can see the entire band and see what's going on. And not much is going on 80 at the moment. So there you go. Right. I didn't quite catch the that call, so you may not be hearing me. So I'll pass it back to Paul at M1 PVC to point it in the right direction. 0 AY.
Yep, no problem, Tony. Goes to Mike. G3MHX, M1 PVC, and then back to me, please, Mike.
M1 PVC, G3MHX. Well, I've just did the mark on I'll turn the console down. Maybe I've gone too far, actually. Maybe I'm not right. If you're getting bored, I think it's because I've got these loose trees. I'm getting some new dentures on next Tuesday. Maybe then this time I only use my amplifier was a bit unstable, so I've turned the console down a bit. Maybe I've gone too far and you can't hear me very well. Anyway, you can see I'm trying to press my first sound keys there. Okay, so thank you very much for your force there. Thank you, and I hope I haven't turned this console down too far. Sorry if I have. So thank you very much.
G3MHX, M1 PVC. Yes, okay, Mike. Well, it's still readable here. And Tony, well, your audio is fine by me. You got stuff going out to 8K wide. Sounds perfectly wide enough here, listening on my SDR. And I looked, and as I say, if I open up the filters beyond 8K, there is a little bit of extra sparkle in it, but not a lot. So most of the energy is within an 8K bandwidth, and in fact most of it within 6K. So I think that setting is pretty good. See what Keith reckons next time round. but as I say, I'm listening on the SDR with pretty good quality bookshelf speakers attached to the computer, so the fidelity is usually quite good here as far as receiving goes. And well, nice to hear you on the air again, Tony. I know you joined us the other day as well. As I say, good to have you on the air. So what else? Oh, Martin, yeah, on the 52 set. Well, I did start bidding on the other one, Martin, as well, on your behalf when it was at low value, because it was in a better condition, but it didn't have the case. However, I suppose beauty is in the eye of the beholder, because we were told at the auction I hadn't had a good look at either of them personally, and perhaps I should have done, but we were told that that I think they graded that one that you've got there as at least 6 out of 10, and the other one a 7 or 8. And I must admit that when I put it in the car, I thought, well, yeah, I can see rust. And on a brief glance, I wouldn't have given it a 6 out of 10, but there you go. Anyway, hopefully you can do something with that. If you find a solution to white printing on a panel, I'd be very interested. I had a great deal of problem, if you remember, going history back on the Panda Cup that I was renovating for somebody else, because they wanted a black panel with white lettering, and I tried everywhere to get a print of the right size and what have you to match it, and in the end I had to give up, and I actually had to hand paint in the Panda logo, which actually didn't look too bad afterwards, and the actual lettering I had to take the lot off and then just use the sheet of white letter set that I did have, which was slightly larger print and a different font face, and just accept that that was better than nothing, and then lacquered over the top, and it looked okay, and I think the owner was quite pleased with it. But of course, for a purist, they'd have said, well, it wasn't like that when it left the factory, you know, and you know, they would have taken a dim view of that. So it is a problem. There isn't any affordable printer on the market that will print white. I think there is such a thing, but it costs thousands. So we can't go down that line. A white letter set seems to be extremely hard to get hold of. I'm lucky in that, well, I say I'm lucky, when an architect's office closed down, I grabbed all of their letter set, which was going to go in the skip, and brought it home. So I've got sheets and sheets of the stuff, but mainly not usable, because it's either very large letters, it's nearly all black, some of it is fancy script, and some of it are just graphics that architects used to put on drawings, such as people and cars and furniture and stuff like that. And it's got time expired, it doesn't work very well now, so obviously the adhesives have dried up, and really it is fit for the bin, and that's probably where it will end up. So, and I've got very little in the way of white lettering, and there were other makes other than letter set. I think Smiths used to sell some, but again, white, very difficult to get. I think if you go into a model shop somewhere that sells these Airfix models, you can get letters that you can cut out and stick on. And I use that on my R1154 for around all the click stops, and I did actually get quite a good matching font face and letters, but again you have to put it on as individual letters, cutting them out. So that is a possibility, but if you've got to make up complete words other than the A, B, C, etc. that you've got on the 1154, well, I say that, is there an A? Yes, there is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. looking at it, and free. That was easy to do, or easier. So it's probably not the way. So if you find a good way, Martin, I'd be interested. And yes, Colin, that shack looked pretty chaotic, an awful lot of stuff there. But as I said in my email, I find that's a very sad thing to have to do, and I avoid it like the plague. I feel that I'm picking over somebody's belongings and transgressing somewhere, but if you're doing it obviously on behalf of the widow, it's a good thing to do, and you know, a humane thing to do, so to speak, but I don't personally like doing it. Back to you, G3TFK M1PVC.
Just make sure I've got it. Sorry about that. I more or less signed off, Paul, and then there's a big scrabble there when I heard G3TSK. I heard a little bit about the widow. Yes, you're quite right. Well, they've been very good friends. When I moved here 14 years ago, I met up with my friend, and we've been friends ever since. And when I first saw a shack, I tell you what, I was amazed. So it's a lot of work, and you were saying that you have time, and you were doing something. I can't do that. I think it's called multitasking. I can't do that. I have to sort of concentrate on just the one thing. It seems that as I'm sort of doing the one thing, then everything else is sort of just floating about and meaning nothing at all. So I don't have that skill, I'm afraid. I can't concentrate on two things at once. Not very well anyway. And even when I'm concentrating on one thing at once, I'm not getting very far. So there you go. Oh dear. So I'm sorry about that, Paul. I turned the volume down, to tell you the truth, and because I said I would listen, and I was just about to sort of go, that I heard G3TSK. There was a scrabble there to switch everything off, and what have you. So I do apologise once again. It's not my day, is it? So this time I really am going, and I see down my list the full of right order, that it's Martin. And Martin, I did hear you talking about some rust or something. Well, iron oxide I think it is, isn't it? Iron oxide is a technical term there, rust. There you go, well it's always there. And incidentally, I was at the Roman camp up near Corbridge several years ago, and they had a treasury there, and the steel gate. And I put my hand in the hole where the hinge went, and there was still the cast iron. I think it was cast iron, was still there in good order. And I think cast iron doesn't rust very well, does it? It lasts a long time. But there's still the iron for the hinge in this guard in the treasury. And it amazed me, 2,000 years over, and we still have a bit of the original sort of hinge there. Enough waffle for me, lads, I've got to go. And Sheila's off to the doctor, so I've got to say bye-bye. So Paul, thanks for that, man. I do apologise. I'm more or less gone and switched off, if you know what I mean. So, over to you, Martin. G3YGO, G3TSK. Bye-bye to you all.
Yeah, G3TSK, G3YJO. Well, hope all goes well today, Colin, and I know the feeling when you have to dash back from remote parts of the empire to pick up when it gets handed back unexpectedly. Anyway, right now there's a couple of things that Keith, your little battery in the back of your subconscious. Yeah, I know the feeling. I suspect mine needs a bit of a replacement as well, because there are times when I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, I know there was something there, but it's not coming back. However, anyway, let me see. I did make a comment somewhere, but where did I write it down? That's the point. Oh well. On the 52 set receiver again, back to that for a moment, Paul. Yeah, I think the other one was in slightly better cosmetic condition, but it didn't have a case, and so that was the bit that sort of turned me onto that one, because the cases are not, you get a lot of them without cases, and so I could do with a case, so that was good anyway. And as I say, I think it's in reasonable condition inside. Somebody's put a little mains power supply in the back, which is a bit of a manky thing, but it's easily retrofitted. And then on the lettering, well, on the letraset, actually I haven't had any difficulty getting white letraset of various sizes. You just need to go on to, what did I get on eBay or Amazon? I forget now. But yeah, I found that quite easy to get, and I used that on my 53 set, and I didn't have much difficulty. So maybe just need to dig around a little bit more. But getting white lettering any other way is really difficult. And the trouble is, if you just got a little bit to do, it's not too bad. But if you have a whole complex layout, then I suppose if it's going to be a long job, you can manage it. But it otherwise is really very, very fiddly. And the water slide decals are a much simpler operation indeed, but as you say, unless you've got one of the very expensive printers, then white is not an option, which is a shame. And I don't think I know anybody. In fact, I did have a look and see if there's any whether one of the print shops, the local print shops, might do that. That's an interesting point actually, because again, if you're just asking them to run a few sheets through, it might be a little bit pricey per sheet, but it's going to be a whole heap cheaper than getting a printer. So we have a pet, I was going to say a pet print shop. We have a tame print shop nearby which we use for times. So I might just ask them and see whether they are able to print white onto transparency, so to speak. And if that works out, then I'll let you know, because it is a continuing issue. Interestingly, I just put the R107s onto an external speaker to see how that sounds, but it doesn't sound much different actually. So I think the audio tailoring, and the same thing on the 52 set, is fairly tough in the sense of the 300 to 3 kilohertz or whatever it is. It's fairly tightly controlled, so it didn't make much odds when I put it onto an external speaker, and I was sort of surprised at that, because I thought it would improve the quality somewhat. But actually on the 52 set it sounds better on the internal speaker, a lot crisper. Right, now what else is happening today? I think that's about it. We'll go and do some chemistry experiments with the alum, and I'll report back on what that does. Looking on the internet and seeing what some people did, it seemed pretty effective. You just get this stuff, put it into not quite boiling water, and dip your thing in, and lo and behold, it fizzes away. So it shows on the YouTube, and I'll wait and see if it does the same in practice. Now I'm not quite sure who's left. I've sort of crossed people off randomly, but perhaps not consistently. I put it on to you, Keith, normally, and if Keith doesn't pick it up, I guess it goes to Tony, and Tony doesn't pick it up, it goes up to Mike, and thus it will eventually make its way back to you, Paul. G3XGW, G3YJO.
Yeah, G3YJO, G3XGW. Well, like Colin, I had signed, but I have to come back. Hope you're still listening, Colin. My wife has found what Minehead's claim to fame was or is. And it's the fact that Arthur C. Clarke was born, a science fiction writer. And apparently not only a science fiction writer, I've been just looking him up on Wikipedia. And the reason it came to mind was that for my birthday, one of my presents was a CD of audio recordings of a lot of the classic science fiction writers. So that one came up, and he was born in Minehead. There you are. And Martin, you've got a lot to be thankful for, I guess, for Arthur C. Clarke for predicting the geostationary satellite and putting this famous article in Wireless World. So I'm pleased to have got that, although I'm annoyed that it didn't come to my mind via the subconscious or whatever method.
Anyway, with that, oh Tony, your audio, yes, yeah, you may have bandwidth going out to whatever it was, 7K, but it's a low frequency that seemed to be a bit lacking to my ears, but that might just be my ears. And there seemed to be a bit of distortion on peaks, I don't think it was phase distortion, but anyway, I'm sure you've got lots and lots of software adjustments you can make on it. You could probably spend your rest of your life playing with all the little sliders and things. Okay, all the best, and we'll see you further down, I'm sure. M0EUY G3XGW.
M0EUY, you there, Tony?
Oh, sorry, Keith just dipped into the noise then, and I wasn't too sure who it passed to. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's all software generated and things. Yeah, get back to the switch on, tune up, and away you go. Doesn't really tend to happen on this one, at the moment anyway. But there you go. Yeah, it's getting noisier now. I can see it is starting to, all the noise is starting to creep up around here. So I wish everybody a 7th ray and have a reasonably good day, hopefully. And if the noise level is still as low as it has been for the last couple of days, I might be on tomorrow. You never know. Anyway, 7th ray all round to Paul there. M1 PVC, M0EUY in the diminishing AM group.
M0EUY, M1 PVC should go to Mike, but I'll make this a final and let Mike tie the ribbons. Yep, 7-3 to Colin, Martin, and Keith. And yeah, apologies, Colin. I find multitasking a little bit difficult, and obviously that's a sign of it. I didn't cross you off, so I missed the fact that you signed at the end of your over. Anyway, yeah, just going on to that audio, Tony. Well, looking at the spectrum on the SDR here, the peaks are indeed in the mid to high range. There are low frequencies there, but it's predominantly 1K and what have you, around about that. And because of that, it makes it sound slightly military, other than BBC quality. I wouldn't have graded it BBC quality, but I would have graded it good communications quality. So it depends what you're trying to get. If you're trying to get BBC quality, it isn't there. It needs to be flatter without those peaks. But as I say, it's perfectly readable, so no problem there. So I hope you have a good day. Good to hear you on. And okay, Keith, on Arthur C. Clarke, it wasn't he 2001 Space Odyssey or whatever the film was? Ghastly film. That is my personal opinion before anybody gets upset with things said on air. I found it delightfully boring. Well, not even delightfully. I wouldn't be sitting there again expecting Hal to go on with a monotonous monologue. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, well, it's a claim to fame. So fine on that. Hope you all have a great day, guys. We're off to get some fish today. So round to you to tie the ribbons, Mike. Everybody else, have a good day. Well, including you, Mike, of course, obviously. Be careful what I say. I'm not trying to insult anybody. People tend to get a little bit upset and don't realise they've got an off switch. G3, MHX, M1 PVC.
M1 PVC and anybody else there, this is G3 MHX. Well, thank you very much for on. We didn't do the single satellite with the SDR. Anyway, it's written in now. Very sorry to tell you comment. What I did was I put the value, the current of 9 watts, to the linear of course, through it. I just adjusted the tone controls I don't know. Anyway, I'm going now, so thank you very much. On our last signals, modulation sounds fine here to me, including Stuart, but Stuart says he has a bit of hum on there. I haven't heard it today, of course. He's going to try something to see if it'll stop it. I can never hear the hum on there. Now it seems to be a chance. I'm not on the outside right now. So 73, G series, this is now clear. Well done.
Yeah, 73 mate, have a great day. This station M1 BBC going QRT.
Yeah, G3 YJO just also hadn't quite signed out last time. Yes, well, a couple of things. Arthur Clarke, yes, he of course was proposed the so-called Clarke orbit or geostationary orbit, which was a very insightful thing, and he wrote some very good science fiction, I have to say. I particularly liked his short stories when I was a teenager, and I did have the opportunity to meet him a couple of times, and he was a very interesting thinker, and certainly even in old age was still very active in terms of intellectually active. As for the film 2001, well, I think we have to beg to differ there. One of the few things on which we probably have a different opinion there, Paul. I liked it. I thought it was a very prescient film. And of course I saw it when I was a teenager, around about the Apollo moon landing time, so it was all a rage then. But so one of the few things on which I think we're likely to disagree. So with that, G3YGO signing, and off to make some elixir. Cheers all, and to any shortwave listeners.
Yeah, absolutely, Martin. As I said, that was my personal opinion. It was run done in Cinerama or something. I think it was widescreen at the time. I seem to remember. It just went on a bit. That's all I could say. Like the curate's egg, good in parts, but as I say, we can beg to differ. It's not something I'd go out and watch again. Have a good day. M1 BBC now gone.
Yes, I'm a great fan of Arthur. 2001's a great film. Shame about the ending. And the two subsequent books are actually even more interesting, I think. But yeah, for interesting character, a wonderful life. I apparently need to read a lot more about him, according to my wife. 73G3XGW.
G3YJO, yes, I agree about the endings. I thought that went on a bit, but up to that point it was good. And 2010, I think it was one of the follow-ons. Yeah, all interesting stuff. Anyway, for another day. Good fishing, Paul, and talk to you later. I'll be on 60 meters possibly during the day. Cheers.